This is a video I really was never expecting to make, only because it's something that I hold a little bit more dear to me than anything else, or of a person I hold a little bit more dear to me than most individuals I've never met before. That is Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, the widow of President Kennedy, Aristotle Onassis, former First Lady of the United States. You know, I've never thought of inspiration as having a shared emotion or a shared set of misfortune. And I am in no way saying that anything I've gone through can compare to what she went through, which is ironically the point I'm trying to convey, that essentially in seeing her misfortune, I became more appreciative of what I have and who I have, and the fact that no one close to me has passed away or is in any way seriously ill. Now, she suffered the loss of her daughter, Arabella, the stillborn child she and President Kennedy had. Her son, Patrick, died as well. Her father died, if I remember correctly, in between those two children's passing, because I know he was dead a few years before President Kennedy ran for the presidency. She also lost her husband in the assassination. We all know about that. And a few years later lost Robert Kennedy, who she was, or has been written of as being relatively close to. And in seeing all of those different misfortunes, reading about it, learning about it, just knowing about it, those are things that really cannot be measured up to. You know, I've had things that have made me feel really sad and really disillusioned with life for moments at a time, but I know at the end of the day I'm always able to call upon the people who are close to me or who I feel make my life better. Whereas a lot of times after those tragedies, she couldn't call on those people anymore because they were deceased and they were no longer there. And because of that, I really respect her and really admire her, along with the fact that she was able to just completely hold her ground under such fierce circumstances that I know, knowing me, I probably would have succumbed to, just because I'm not experienced with those types of things. And I really don't think it has to do with that, but I think it has to do with the strength she had. And I think she was a very strong woman and a very powerful person to be able to put up with all of those different horrendous events. Now, you also have the state of being, and you know, this is something I really, kind of touching back on the earlier part of this video, I didn't expect to ever address, only because there is a connotation around a male admitting a woman is his role model or someone that he looks up to. But at this point, I figured I have nothing to lose. And it really just comes down to the fact that if someone influences my way of life, or if their story helps me, I really don't mind sharing in it or contributing in any way that I can, or trying to be beneficial towards their story. You know, it's one of those things where you just have to kind of think of what is the greater good. Letting a cat hold your tongue forever about someone that you deeply admire, or becoming just brave enough to admit what you know in your heart is true, and that she is one of my role models. She's someone I look up to. She's someone I want to be like, and having strength and being able to handle the different obstacles life throws my way. I would almost argue she is my biggest role model of any historical figure. Someone I think of daily, someone that whenever I go through some type of hardship or some setback, I'm reminded of what she went through, and it propels me to not be so bitter about what I am experiencing. And again, another part of that is, you look at what she had, obviously coming from a wealthy family, marrying a man who was wealthy twice, but especially the second time around. She actually had more wealth the first time. So, you can't even play the gold digger thing, but, I would never even consider that. I've seen people try to imply that she was a gold digger, but Onassis was anything but that. And really, getting back to her and myself as well, it's one of those things where you have to also appreciate what you have. I don't have millions and millions of dollars, or a enrollment at a top school, or fans who worship the ground I stand on, or a dedicated base of people that appreciate something I've created. I don't. But what I do have are people who seem to genuinely invest themselves in my interest and have an interest in me as a person. Now, that's something I would not trade for any aspect of my life, her life, and it's something that she really taught me to appreciate. Because, as I mentioned before, none of those things she had by the time those tragedies took effect. She even married Onassis to have more wealth after losing her Secret Service protection, which was ridiculous on their part, but it is what it is. And also kind of going into the aspect of just everything else relating to this topic, she also encouraged me to try learning Spanish and French, as she was fluent in. Of course, that didn't quite pan out, but I certainly gave it a go, and I don't think I would have if she were not involved in that decision making from a posthumous perspective. And it really, this was so hard to make, because I can't, this connotation is not something that I can just easily get past. There are always going to be people who will say, why do you look at this woman this way? Why do you think this woman is someone you should admire more than males? And that is simply because I don't think I could have surpassed my depression without her, or without researching things and going into what's happened before me. You see, I'm not so egotistical to where I believe that things I'm going through are completely new or have never happened before. I want to say 99% of my life has, in some aspects, been lived by people before me. At least my experiences anyway. There is nothing new about any of this, and she taught me that, and for that I'm always going to be grateful. She's my favorite first lady, my favorite just person involved with politics, probably. Really just changed my life and perspective on life and what there is worth living for. So for that, I'm always going to say Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis is my role model. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.